All right, everybody, welcome back. My name is Dan Hendricks. If you're on YouTube, you're watching this video, I recommend you check out my website, www.danceofthecosmos.com. So anyways, we're going to get back into our series of videos here about the planets, about the Grahas. This time, in this video, we're going to talk about the intelligence that each planet represents. So let's go ahead and look at the planets here. Let's just go over the planetary order real quick. And we are going to be talking about these planets in this order. I'm always going to try and stick with this. And so anyhow, Sun is number one, Moon is the second planet, Mars is the third, Mercury is the fourth, Jupiter's the fifth, Venus is the sixth, Saturn the seventh, Rahu the eighth, and Ketu the ninth. I have a video on the natural order of the planets. I recommend you check that out. Now, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the sun. So the sun is, what I have written here is, I just wanted to use one word. Sun is, I put the intelligence of organization, or more like really an organizational intelligence, because the sun is what keeps the solar system intact. Because the sun, if we were looking at the sun, let's say this is a top-down view of the sun and the ecliptic plane where the planets orbit. Well, here would be the sun in the middle, and this ring would represent like the orbit of each of the planets around the sun. And so the sun with its gravity, it's holding everything in place. It's this idea, because remember, the sun is the king, the sun is looking up, the sun is the bird, everything. The sun is all about projecting this great vision that it holds inside out there. But you're not going to project, sun doesn't just project that vision, it gives the intelligence to make that happen. Which it's a very, when I talk about the intelligence of organization or organizational intelligence, this is more like the baseline intelligence. Like when we talk about someone as being intelligent, what we're really talking about at a very base level of just, wow, I don't know, that person's just very intelligent. If you meet someone like that, it's probably because they have a very strong sun in their chart. Sun is that baseline intelligence because we know what we're trying to do in the world, and we know the way that we're going to achieve that. It's that intelligence that comes along with that. Then the moon is said to be all-knowing. Well, we know that the moon is feminine. We know that the moon is the queen, and the moon is all about the fourth house and seeing everything in all directions. And so the moon is about, because it sees everything and because it sees all directions, because it's all about being receptive and creating wants and desires and needs, and about dealing with what's in the environment. So the moon is all-knowing. So what this means, this intelligence of the moon is the intelligence just of knowing. I just know what I want to do because, like, for example, if you were at a car dealership and you were looking at cars, you would see a car and you would be like, that's the one I want. Why do you want that car? Because I know that I would be happy if I had that car. You just know it. It's the intelligence of being able to just be receptive and to know. So that's one way of looking at the moon's intelligence. But the moon is also related to our social intelligence. And the reason this is the case is because since the moon is all about being in its environment, dealing with the things that are in its environment, it's about being perceptive. It's about being, it's about perceiving. It's about listening. And what moon is able to do is it represents that intelligence to be able to actually listen, and it's social intelligence because you can sit there and you can listen to someone and you're like, wow, I can see how they feel, because the moon is all about the heart. So you're sitting there, you're listening, you're aware of how they feel, and you're able to respond and react because you understand that, you start to know how they feel. So it's like the intelligence of empathy and sympathy. Those are the types of things that allow us to connect with other people, to relate to other people, to be able to be motherly because you're aware of other people's needs as well as your own. And that's kind of the social intelligence of the moon. And then we come to Mars. Mars is a logical planet. This is very simple, very steadfast. This is how Mars is, very simple to understand. Logic is like, what is the next step I need to do? Okay, so I'm at a river bank and I got to cross this river. There's a boat right here. What's the logical thing to do? It's that because remember, Mars is about, he's the general, and he's all about taking action. He's Tamasic. As much as he's about taking action, it's about, I want to do the fewest amount of steps possible And so Mars is sitting there at the riverbank, sees that boat right there. There's no question in his mind. Logic states, because logic is all about doing the next step of things that make sense. Logic is a progression. It's a logical progression. So that's the intelligence of Mars, is being able to take the least amount of steps possible to get the job done that makes the most sense. It's like the intelligence of common sense. It's very much a Mars intelligence quality. Then we have Mercury. So Mercury is the intelligence of being practical. It's our practical intelligence. It's our discernment, our ability to discriminate between all the different choices and options, because Mercury's looking sideways. Mercury's neuter, so he doesn't necessarily have an idea in mind of how things are going to work. He's just sitting there looking around and saying, so Mercury's at the riverbank. Mars sees the boat and will take that boat. Mercury will go, okay, there's a boat right here. That's one option. Oh, there's a log over here. There's a bridge 100 feet that way. Okay. And, and then there's an inner tube right over here. Somebody left an inner tube. So Mercury's going to see what all the possible options are. And then Mercury's going to probably go, and he's going to try the boat and see how that works. Oh, that worked really well. Okay, well, let's go back. Well, let's see how far down the road was that bridge? Oh yeah, the bridge. Okay, the bridge took that long. So Mercury's eventually going to find the best way to go. But he's going to look first. He's going to discriminate between all the different options. So Mercury is our intelligence of being able to discriminate and find the best option by surveying the scene like a bird would do. So that's kind of the intelligence of Mercury. And then we get into Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet just like the moon. Jupiter is all-knowing. But Jupiter's the planet of wisdom. Jupiter's version of all-knowing, which is like the moon, and it's like the moon in many senses, but with Jupiter's wisdom, because Jupiter is a masculine planet. Jupiter has gone out there and taken activities, and Jupiter's about finding purpose. And finding purpose because he sees the big picture. Jupiter is all about the big picture. What is that? That's wisdom. Jupiter is the planet of wisdom. He's the planet of wisdom because he takes what he's been taught by his teachers, what he's been told, what he has contemplated. Jupiter's also the intelligence of contemplation, of being able to just, let's see, what is the best thing? Because let me think, and let's contemplate all the great picture of everything, and then that's what I'm going to use my to find purpose and meaning of where I need to go. And so we can look at that. And Jupiter is that ability to form ideas, is the intelligence of being able to see bigger pictures, form philosophies. Jupiter is about religions and groups of beliefs, basically, and the intelligence of being able to use those kind of beliefs to move forward with. Then we come into Venus. Venus is a planet, and what I have here, its intelligence for the planet of Venus is poetic intelligence. It's basically being able to see meaning where it's not obvious. So Venus is like the planet that's going to read body language. Venus is going to see how someone stands. Venus is going to know that person's angry because it can see that person's just like really short and quick. So Venus is, because remember, Venus is feminine. Venus is seeing what's going on. And so, but if Venus sees between the lines, Venus is like, wow, what's going on in this world? Well, I can tell through that person's body language. And Venus is also a very intuitive planet, because Venus is able to see that meaning where it's not obvious, which that's what poetry is. And so it's a form of intuition, because it's a great thing for astrologers to have. Because, for example, astrology is a perfect example of it. So you look at 12 different signs. You look where 9 planets are in 12 different signs, right? You're looking at the 12 houses. And so Venus is able to, if we're using our poetic intelligence to look at a chart, we're not actually actively measuring things like this and this and this. Well, we've got the first lord in the 4th house. Venus, an astrologer with a strong Venus will look at a chart and go, oh, wow, this is a person that's going to have struggles with their mother. Because the intelligence is they're just drawing it out. They're seeing that picture without looking at all the detail. They're just like, wow, this is the chart that would show this. It's a beautiful type of intelligence. And then we have Saturn, another beautiful type of intelligence, because it is the intelligence of simplicity. Saturn is a servant. Saturn is neuter. He doesn't think about what he's doing. He is not trying to find meaning or ideas or anything behind what he's doing or how it's going to make him feel. He's just looking down. He's a quadruped and he just has to go. So Saturn is that intelligence to just move on. So oftentimes we can make things more complicated than they need to be. We can even feel overwhelmed by all the possibilities, by all the types of things that need to happen so that we can get that bigger idea accomplished. Well, Saturn is the intelligence of knowing, I just have to do this. I just have to be where I'm at right now and keep going. Saturn is just knowing that, like, okay, I just got to take one step. That's all I got to do. Because a lot of times we can overcomplicate. Saturn is not about overcomplicating. It's about focusing on where you're at right now. And that is a very brilliant intelligence. We can make so much progress in our lives if we just use that. And then we have Rahu, which is the intelligence of our technical ability. Because Rahu, being the attacking army, there's a couple of things we can kind of glean from this. Rahu representing that army that is in a foreign place, right? Because it's dark, doesn't know where it is. And so Rahu, since it doesn't know where it is, it's going to go in a new direction that's never been gone before because it has no basis of thinking that maybe I shouldn't go that direction or nobody else has done this. Rahu just goes there. For example, I have a client that has Rahu Moon conjunction. If you know about Rahu Moon conjunction, then you know that that might be a sort of a troubling thing emotionally. But what it can also indicate is a person that has a very creative imagination. They're able to come up with these ideas that are just, not only are they like what we would call outside the box, but their ideas are just so brilliant and creative because it just takes it to that next level. That's that technical, it's like a technical usage of our mind. And so Rahu represents that. Then like if you have Rahu with Mercury, that could make you really skilled with your hands. Maybe that would make someone who's a very technical guitar player or something like that. So Rahu represents technical ability. And then Ketu represents, it's very similar. I mean, the nodes, Rahu and Ketu are always very similar. And so with Rahu and with Ketu, it's more about math and astronomy. It's more about those things that exist that are kind of like underlying our nature, because Ketu represents like past life karmas, right? So what is past life karmas? Well, that's an intelligence of everything that has come before, and it's an intelligence of a system that exists in this life. And so that math is an undisputable, like you can't question math, right? Like if I have 2 bananas in my hand, you come and give me 2 bananas, I have 4 bananas, because that's just the underlying laws of the universe, is that there are now 4 bananas. There's no other way around it. K2 represents that. Astronomy is looking up into the sky and seeing that I have a planet here, I have a planet there. They're that far away, and then if I watch the sky every day, I know that this planet is going to be right here this day, and then it's going to be right here the next day, and it's going to be right here the next day, because that's the way things work. You're just studying the nature of how things work and understanding. That's the kind of intelligence of K2. So basically that is all the planets, and that's kind of the intelligent nature that each one brings. And so when we talk about all these planets, Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, we all have these planets. We all have these intelligences in one way or the other. And we might just have them in different, depending on how strong these planets are, whether they're placed in angles, what their Shadbala is, what their dignity is, how they're doing through all the different Vargas. And so then we can get in what houses they rule, what houses they're placed in. Where are they using that information? What is the information that they're pulling because they're a house lord for that? So we see what how they work and operate. And so you can actually start looking at your chart, looking at people's charts that you know. And you can start correlating and tying these things together. But it's better to look in your own chart, because you understand where you're more logical. You understand where you're more practical and what areas, and you can start to see how those things work. So anyways, this is the end of this video. I would like to thank you for making it all the way through, and namaste.